do have a very special guest with us today. So just moving on to introduction, some of you may know me as the MIM recruiter. I'm sure we probably spoke via email or LinkedIn, but I also recruit for the MBA program too. And then I'll hand it over to Karina. Karina, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Karin Casanova. I am the person responsible for the admissions for the MIM program and also the MBA program at the London campus.
Great, thank you, Karina. And our special guest today, Emily Centeno.
Good, thank you, Poonen. So hello, everyone. Happy to have you here in this webinar. My name is Emily Centeno, and I'm the head of marketing, admissions, and communications for the London campus. And I also sit at the jury for several programs, one of them being the Master in Management.
No, that's great. And what will be really interesting about today's webinar is we will get to hear directly from Emily what she experiences in the interviews and what the jury are looking out for. So do stay tuned. And also, if you do have any questions, use the chat function or the Q&A, and then we'll try and answer your questions right at the end of the webinar. So just technical difficulties. Sorry about that. So just a little bit about what we will discuss today. So I will give you a quick overview of ESCP Business School and the MIM program. Then we will go on to the admissions process, the application form, how to prepare for the SHL test, which is our ESCP in-house test. And then you'll hear from Emily key tips on the personal interview, and then we'll do a quick Q&A. So ESCP at a glance. ESCP is a leading international business school, as some of you may know, but also some of you may not know that ESCP was one of the first business schools in the world established in 1819. So what that means is we've been around for over 200 years, which is really an amazing, fact that when I first started, I was completely blown away by this. But also being one of the first business schools, we were actually one of the first to also introduce cross-border education. So what that means is as a student of ESCP, you have the opportunity to study in any one of our campuses, but also we have campuses in key European cities, as some of you may know. Our campuses are in Berlin, in London where we're based, Madrid, Paris, Turin, and Warsaw. Also, as a school, we're very diverse. As you can see across our 6 campuses, we have 7,000 students representing 120 nationalities and 65,000 alumni in 150 different countries. Also, ESCP, as most of you probably know, we're quite highly ranked. Our Master in Management has been ranked number 6 in the Financial Times and the 4th in the Economist, but also some of our other flagship programs like our Master in Finance and our Executive MBA are quite highly ranked in the Financial Times. We are also multi-accredited, where we have 4 international accreditations and 5 national accreditations in Europe. And we have been voted the 8th best business school in Europe and the 2nd in the UK. So just a quick introduction to Master in Management. Just a little bit about the MIM program itself. So who is the MIM program for? Previous degree in any discipline. What I find is when I speak to some people not in the business discipline, they think they're not able to apply for our Master in Management program, and that's simply not the case. We really want to attract a diverse pool to our Master in Management program. So if you come from an engineering background, a science background, a tech background, it does not matter. We really welcome anyone with all disciplines. Not anyone, but everyone from different disciplines. No previous work experience is required, but if you have worked, we will accept up to a year of work experience. And we are also looking for internationally minded, academically excellent candidates. Now, what is the MIM? The MIM is a generalized management program with the opportunity for you to specialize your degree or customize your degree. We currently have 58 specializations and 140 electives to pick from and across all our campuses. And you have the opportunity to pick from 3 specializations out of the 58. You also have the opportunity to study in up to 5 different countries, complete your degree within 4 years, or 2 to 3 years if you don't decide to take a gap year, and obtain up to 5 degrees without even leaving ESCP campuses. To benefit from this Master in Management program, you must study in at least 2 different countries whilst you're in the program. You are only limited to 2 semesters in the same country. So what that means is you can only, let's say you pick London as a campus, you can only stay in London for 2 semesters. Anything after 2 semesters, you will need to go to one of our other ESCP campuses or one of our partner universities. You can also switch locations, so you can go to 4 different locations across a 4-term program, and you can choose from our very own 6 ESCP campuses and our partner universities. So it's really exciting. You know, if you wanted to maybe study in the Americas or study in Southeast Asia, we have a number of partners where you can go and do an exchange program or a double degree at. So just a little bit about the admissions process. I will pass it over to Karina, who will talk you through the admissions process and the application process, and then we can take it from there. Over to you, Karina.
Good afternoon, everyone. Many thanks for your time today. I am gonna give you an overview on the international direct admissions, going like a step by step of the whole process and how you can actually maximize your opportunities, your chances to be admitted on the program. So the step 1 is the online application. Just to give you an overview on how you're gonna be evaluated. 40% of your evaluation is gonna be based on your profile. So we are gonna take into account your scores during your bachelor degree, or if you're doing your master's. Also, we are gonna take into account your international exposure. So if you've been, I will give you some examples, living in different countries. So please highlight this during your application. If you have done a summer camp in the past, also please add this on your application. Then we will also be looking at your work experience and your extracurricular activities. So any activities you've been taking part, such as charitable activities or activities in your university, please highlight this. And 30% of your all shortlisted candidates will be invited for the final stage of the whole admissions process, which is the interview. Due to COVID, interviews are all running online. And 20% of your evaluation is going to be based on your English language skills. And the final 10% will be based on your test, which can be a GMAT, a GRE, a TAGE, or if you haven't had a chance to sit any of these tests, you will be invited to sit the SHL, which is our in-house test. Can we go to the next slide, please, Poonam? So the admission process itself, let me go through the whole application. As I said, like your profile review, it's gonna count for 40% of your whole evaluation. 10% the entrance test is what I just highlighted, the GMAT, the GRE, the TAGE, or the SHL. Then the juries are gonna play a significant part on your evaluation, as you will have an interview with them, and your interview will account for 30% of the whole evaluation process. Can we go to the next slide, please, Poonam? Here you can see an overview of the admission process. You can submit your application until the 11th of May. Please take into account that this is the final admission round. So make sure you submit the application before the end of the day of the 11th of May. All invited candidates will be, all shortlisted candidates will be invited for an interview to take place between the days of the 25th and the 27th of May. If you haven't had the chance to sit the GMAT test or the GRE or the TAGE, you will also be invited to sit the SHL during those days. So just take that into account. And the admission outcome will be actually announced on the 17th of June. Poonam, can we go to the next slide, please? So now we are going to go through the application form, and we are going to give you some tips on this. As I said, on your international experience, quite a few of our candidates have been expats living in different countries due to different reasons. Perhaps your parents were relocated. So please highlight all this information in your summary application and let us know what is your exposure to international cultures. In terms of your work experience, please highlight on your CV any work experience, professional work experience mainly, that you have done. Perhaps if you've been securing an internship, how was the internship, for how long it lasted, or in some cases, as we have seen, if you're about, as summer is fast approaching, if you have secured an internship in the next months, also let us know, because then we will know, okay, this candidate have already secured an internship, is going to be doing these activities at this organization. That is gonna give us a better idea about your career goals, and actually it's gonna tell us more about you as a candidate and what is actually what you wanna aim. In terms of the extracurricular activities, please also highlight, as I said before, the activities you've been taking part at your university or perhaps at personal level. If you've been engaged in any charitable activities, or also what I can see from a lot of candidates, they have taken part in international projects, such as, like, let me give you some examples. A few of them have been taking part in fundraising activities for different causes in Africa or in Latin America, or making sure that they have, or sometimes they have gone to Southeast Asian countries, and they have been taking part in projects to help the livelihoods of the locals. So all those activities actually tell us a lot about you as a candidate, also as an individual, and what you can bring to the program, how you can actually benefit from also our activities ourselves. Then, can we go to the next slide, please, Poonam? So now I'm gonna hand it back to Poonam, and she's gonna let you know more about how to write a good application. For this webinar, we have put together some best practice, and I hope you're gonna enjoy it.
Great, perfect. Thank you so much for that, Karina. So I'll talk a little bit about how to write a good application. But as you know, these are some of the, well, actually all of the documents required in order for you to submit for the MIM program. So you will need to provide an ID card or a passport, transcripts. So we will need your first year and second year transcripts from university, and your proof of enrollment. We will also like your CV as part of the MIM application. Now, a CV is really important when you are applying for the MIM program, because if you do get accepted onto the program and you do decide to do a specialization, like let's say investment banking or management consultancy, there's usually a waiting list for those specializations, as they're very popular. And the program team, they will look at your transcripts and your CVs to determine whether you are accepted onto onto the specialization. So if you have a good CV, that's great. If you do need help with your CVs, please speak to your university careers advisor, or seek some help online, but please do submit a very good CV. Also, you may need an English certification. So if you haven't done your degree in an English speaking country, you will need to provide a TOEFL or an IELTS. And then, as Karina mentioned, you will need to provide some sort of aptitude test. So that's a GMAT, GRE, or TAJMAJ, or our SHL test. Now, one thing I will say, and that's something, at some point Karina will mention as well, we highly and strongly recommend for you to take one of these tests. Our ESCP in-house test isn't very user intuitive, and usually, not usually, some people may score very low, and that could potentially impact your overall score. So that is something to think about when you are applying for the MIM program. Also, you need to provide a diploma if you are doing the pre-masters here, and then a motivational letter. Now, in the next slide, I'm going to talk about how to write a good motivational letter. Apologies, let me move on. Oh, sorry, apologies. And then there's an optional reference letter as well. So this could be your tutor, you know, maybe someone from an internship that wants to provide your suitability for doing the Master in Management program. You have the option to provide this as part of your application pack. Now, how to write a good personal statement. I mean, some of this stuff is probably some things you already know, but you know, as one of the first things I say to candidates is, don't rush yourself. Give yourself plenty of time. When the academic director looks at your profile, he can instantly tell if you are lying, or you know, if you've copied a template, or you know, it's not. You know, if there are kind of specific guidelines or rules that haven't been, you know, adhered to as part of the personal statement. So please do take your time and do not rush. And, you know, as part of this is as a recruitment executive for the MIM program, I am more than happy to check these personal statements and these motivational letters with you. So, you know, you are more than welcome to book in a 45-minute session with me, or you can send me an email just to ask me what my thoughts are on a personal statement. So, you know, more than happy to offer that service, but please do not rush your application. Also, adopt a positive, enthusiastic and professional tone as presented in clear and short sentences. What I find a lot, you know, across MIM and MBA is people overcomplicate what they're trying to say, and they'll use really, really long sentences. Now, best practice, don't use more than 20 words per sentence. Otherwise, you kind of lose the whole point, and sometimes it becomes really, really complicated, and you know, you don't have a valid point. So really, you know, try to keep your sentences short, clear and concise, and always check your spelling, grammar or punctuation. Now, one tip I do say to or I do give out to MIM potential candidates is to use the Hemingway app. It is a free app. You just type it into Google and you will put your personal statement in there, and then it will tell you kind of grammar or spelling errors, and will give you information on things like if your sentences read too passive or they're hard to read. So it's definitely something I recommend when you are writing a personal statement, is run your personal statement through the app. Also, don't use the same supporting statement for every course. I mean, when I was younger, I thought it would be fine to do that and no one realizes, but actually at some point you're going to slip up. So try and write a very individual personal statement for the program itself. I mean, admissions tutors can, you know, all of us, I mean, everyone on the panel can, you know, spot a copy and paste job. So please don't make it generic. Please do try and make it personalized to the program you are applying for. Also, draft and redraft your personal statement until you are happy. Like I said to you before, I'm more than happy to proofread any personal statements that come my way, but also seek help at your university. Ask a careers advisor, maybe ask your personal tutor to proofread it for you, see if it makes sense. There is no harm in asking for help, but this personal statement can go a really, really long way when you are submitting a MIM application. Now, things to avoid whilst you are writing your personal statement. Don't be negative. I mean, it's very clear. We don't want negative comments about your experience at university or your internship. Like I said before, try and adopt a very enthusiastic and positive attitude when writing these personal statements. Also, like I mentioned before, don't follow an online template. Don't include irrelevant course modules of personal facts or extracurricular activities that may not be relevant to the program itself. Also, this is a very obvious one, but don't lie or over-exaggerate. I know there's times Emily's caught out people in interviews where they have exaggerated. I have too. I've been at careers fairs and people over-exaggerate the great things they do. And then when questioned, you know, they get caught out. So please don't do it. It happens to me at careers fairs. It happens to Emily during interviews. So don't do it. It's not worth it. Also, don't include inspirational quotes. We do find that sometimes people do that and it just makes no difference to the personal statement itself. Also, avoid using cliches, gimmicks, humor, or overuse the word passion. Passion is one word that is a running theme throughout all the personal statements we see. So please do try and avoid this. Also, don't name drop key authors and explanations. Use overly long sentences, like I've said. Needlessly flatter the organization. I mean, that is a constant thing ESCP have to deal with, especially when we are reading the motivational letters. And that's not just for the MIM program. I mean, it happens in the MBA program, or I'm sure with the other specialized masters. So please don't do that. We know we're a great organization. We don't need you to tell us this. Also, don't repeat information. So let's say you've got information in your CV, for example. There's no need for you to repeat it again in your personal statement. Also, don't use your undergraduate UCAS template as a form of your personal statement. Don't waffle. I mean, that's pretty obvious. And leave writing your personal statement to the last minute. So just I'll show you some examples of, you know, how to write a good personal statement. I won't be reading you know, all of these out, but you know, it'll give you a really good idea of some of the personal statements that our students have submitted for our spring round, and they were the ones that scored the highest scores. So, you know, I mean, it's very obvious when you're writing a personal statement, you want to talk about or you introduce yourself. Now, you know, what's really great about this is you will introduce what you're currently doing, what you wish to do at said school or said program itself, and what your aspirations are. So start off with a very strong introduction. So, you know, I'll read the second one. My ambition to study at ESCP for the MIM reflects my career goals, my personal profile, and the enormous respect which the place is held. It's very short, it's very concise, it's very, you know, straight to the point. So have a really strong introduction. Now, explain your motivations for doing the program. As you can see here, people have spoken about why they want to do the MIM program, how it aligns with their career goals, and what it is they want to do whilst they're on the MIM program. What I particularly like about these personal statements is they have essentially they have wrote what specializations, what electives they want to do, and those motivations behind why they want to do these specializations or join the program itself. So if you look at the last one, I mean, it's the shortest one. I'm keen on enhancing my business understanding, learning new frameworks, and observe and analyze the corporate world and prepare myself for a multifaceted career in my field. It's very short and concise. If you look at the first one, they relate it back to what's taught on the MIM program. So they want to apply more knowledge in sustainability, management control, and strategy. So really make it relatable to the program and explain how it aligns with your career goals. Also, you know, the same thing for this one as well. You know, motivations for joining the program, what it is that you want to do, what specializations do you want to do, what campus do you want to pick, what is the strategic importance of you studying in London or studying in Paris. And then lastly, your conclusion. So how do you wrap up everything that you have said in your personal statement in a short paragraph? You know, I guess this is really, really important, and it's a great way to sum up everything that you have wrote, but also explain why you are an ideal candidate for the MIM program itself. I'm more than happy to share these slides with you at the end of the presentation. So if you haven't had an opportunity to read all of them, don't worry, I will be sending them out. And then, like I said before, you can come to me and come and speak to me about, you know, checking your motivational letter or your personal statement. I'm more than happy to offer you my advice and what I think and what I think of your personal statement. Also, CV, these are only just a couple of examples of really good CVs we've had, but I also have some CV examples that I share with candidates who are stuck and don't want to maybe do such a simple CV. You know, I recommend people to now do CVs on things like Photoshop, where they can make it really interesting, really diverse, use the space really well, and include everything that they are currently doing. So these are just a couple of examples, but if you are looking for just some more different Photoshop examples, please get in touch with me, and I'm more than happy to share those with you and help you through creating your CVs. But also don't forget, you can reach out to your careers teams at your universities as well. Book a one-to-one session with them and ask them for guidance or help, or if they have, let's say, standard templates that you can use. So that's it from my end. You know, I hope you know, that's a little bit clearer for you and you have some direction on writing a personal statement, but please do reach out to me if you would like further help. And now I will pass you over to Karina, who will talk a little bit about our SHL test, our in-house ESCP test. Over to you, Karina.
Okay, thanks, Poonam. In general terms, I'm going to tell you what we are going to be evaluating in the SHL test. Poonam, can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. On the SHL test, you're going to be evaluated in two different categories, the deductive and the numerical category. The deductive category is composed of 12 questions, and you will have 18 minutes to answer all of them. For the numerical category, you will have 10 questions, and you will have 18 minutes to answer all of them. Can we go, please, to the next slide, Poonam? Yes, so what we are gonna do, especially now that we are fast approaching to our final deadline, the SHL test actually has a link. So if you didn't have the chance to sit the GMAT or the TAGE, and taking into account that we only have 6 more days for the next deadline, what we have done in this presentation, can we go to the next slide, please? We have already included the practice link for the SHL. So if you didn't have the chance, then this is your opportunity. You can start familiarizing with it, making sure that you actually know how the deductive part works, how the numerical part works. The SHL, once you go into the link, you're going to see that there are quite a few categories. Please only practice the deductive and the numerical one. Can we go, please, to the next slide, Poonam? If it is the case that, let's say, the next submission deadline is on the 11th of May, and you book your GMAT, and it's scheduled for the 13th of May, because this is the final deadline, please feel free to email me, letting me know, okay, I have booked a GMAT or I have booked a TAGE. So I know that you are gonna be sitting the test, and then once you have the results, you can send it to me and I will add it to the evaluation, to your whole evaluation. If simply it's too late for you to actually book any of these tests, then you already have the practice link. Please make sure you do some practice, because as we have said, the SHL test is very challenging, so it's gonna be for your own benefit to have some previous practice on this. And if you are shortlisted for the interview, normally what we are gonna do, we are gonna send an email with more information about what you need to have for the SHL test in order to be sure that you are well equipped. So if this is gonna be the case, I can tell you now, please make sure you have a mouse, because you're gonna have some difficulties moving the graphs. Although you may say like, no, I don't really need this, trust us. This is like, we highly encourage you to actually have a mouse, have a calculator next to you, some scrap paper, so you will need it for the test. Also, another tip that I can tell you is that please try avoid the use of MacBooks, because what we have seen is that normally when you are using a MacBook, the SHL could actually freeze, and then you can perhaps not be able to continue with the whole test. So just if you know already that you're gonna be in that position, see with any family members or any friends if you can borrow a laptop. So, and then try to familiarize with the laptop yourself, because it's not your own laptop. So you're going to be able to actually have the SHL running smoothly. That's my own advice.
No, that's great. Thank you so much for that, Karina. Now, moving on to the personal interview, this is probably what everyone has come here for and has been waiting for. I will now hand you over to Emily Centino, who will talk a little bit about the personal interview, and you'll have opportunities to ask her questions at the end. So, Emily, over to you.
Thank you, Poonen. So yes, I'm going to spend some time to talk about the personal interview, and we call it also motivational interview. And as you can see, top business schools, they usually do personal interviews just to verify what the candidate have also put during the application for, but also I think it's just to understand really what the candidate is about, why they have decided to apply to our school, why they want to study management. So one of the key things that I look is to really see the candidate interest in our school. Why ESCP and no other school? Because behind that question, it's more about trying to find out, is this person in front of me is a good fit for the school? Because it's a 50-50. In the same way that you want to come and study with us, in the other way, we also want to see if we can see you sitting in the class. So we think that also why the MEAN program, why you want to pursue a career in management. And we think that is basically the motivational aspect. So we have candidates sometimes that they apply to management and they don't really give a coherent answer to that one. And also one of the things that I always, said to candidates to really spend some time thinking about the application. I think earlier during the webinar, Poonam talked about the application and also Karina mentioned about the application, how important it is. So that we really want you to really put all the evidence in terms of why you want to study at the school, what, for example, international experience do you have? For us at the school, that is a key dimension, an aspect that we talk about, and we always ask about that during the interview panel. We also talk about personality. And like I always said, we all are different in terms of the schools. We cater for different things, and we also look for different things. It's pretty much like you. So my best advice will be, so when you are applying to a business school, is to shop around, to look what other business schools are offering. So when you come here for an interview and you also submit your application, you can come and make a strong case for yourself. So another aspect that we look around, so if you want to study management, we're going to ask, okay, so not only why you want to study management, but what aspects of the program do you think are relevant for you? What are, for example, where do you want to do your internships? Or if you have done in the past some internships before, we will ask you about what did you learn? Where was the first hint, the first seed that you realized that you want to study management, and for example, rather than marketing? Sorry, Poonam, I'm in the previous one. And then it's okay. It's okay. And then, of course, we always allow candidates to ask and clarify any questions they may have. So usually the jury panel is composed of a faculty member, a program director, an alumni, or someone that basically is very involved with the program or more is on the operational side, like myself. And I think we also expect perhaps candidates, if it's someone of us in the panel, to ask any questions about, for example, I have seen candidates that even come prepared and they search for me on LinkedIn. They even know that, who I am, that I'm an alumni of the school, and they ask questions about that. For instance, why I work at the ESCP. So I think you need to be equally prepared in terms of asking some questions. I always encourage that to candidates. All right, so the next slide, I'm going to talk about being really prepared is also about knowing what is happening in the world, especially during these days, during the current pandemic situation. We ask our candidates that perhaps they have been disrupted in any shape or form, perhaps what they have learned through COVID, what is happening in the world, even where they are. I mean, we recruit candidates from all over the world, and it's interesting to see what they see on their side of the coin, and what they want to do by achieving a MIM program study, the Master in Management, and how that will impact not only perhaps their career, but others, around themselves, especially if they're applying for scholarships. So we also expect that they have a good level of understanding in terms of the business environment. So what will be the latest, news that perhaps, your attention? Is there any particular subject related to management that you follow, any particular books or perhaps, magazines that you read? And also we encourage really our students and even for prospects to at least come prepared, read the Financial Times a bit, get familiar with what's happening in the world. So perhaps you have a good answer for that question, which for sure is going to be asked. And then in terms of some tips, that's I took a note some of the sharings that my colleagues did earlier. So as I said before, don't undersell yourself with your application. Make sure that it's a strong application. It's made by you. It talks about you. It's a good point what Puna mentioned about quotes. It's a nice to have when you have to write your essay type of questions, but we really want to learn about you. So make sure that it's a strong application. The other thing is that the application is the first stage. And then we review the application, and then we make a selection. And those people that have been selected is the ones that they are going through the interview. That's the reason why I make some emphasis on the application. Then come prepared for the interview. And that means knowing and perhaps do a bit of rehearsal about your interview. Again, rehearse your motivations about joining ESCP, why ESCP and all the business school, why you want to study the MIM program. And nowadays that we are doing interviews online, I always emphasize 3 things. So the first one, the what you need to wear. I always go for the business etiquette. Again, that will never will put you down. I think imagine that you are going through a face-to-face interview. The second point is your space. Make sure that you don't have your phone at hand and you have to answer a call. Make sure that you don't get interrupted. Make sure that you are in an environment that makes you feel that you are prepared, that you can speak with confidence, and you can interact without any disruptions. And the third one, which is also quite important, we all face this in any shape or form, is your technology. So make sure your laptop works, make sure that your internet works, and everything is sorted. My advice is just test it more than once. Even today for this webinar, we had an issue with one of our colleagues, again, with her equipment. I think my third point will be don't be vague. And I think Karina and again Poonen were very, they make emphasis on this. We don't want a generic application. We don't want a generic, essay type of question. We really want to know about you. So we want a specific questions and a specific, answers for really to understand if we really see you as a good candidate in our school, and if you will be a right fit for the program. So so that will be your moment to shine. So and that takes me to say, so then that's the moment that you need to say your motivations. And we think that, as I said, no motivations on study at the school, but where this program will take you. Where do you see yourself? I think now, before we used to say 20 years, I think it's clearly that is not the case anymore. But where do you see at least yourself in 5 years? Where have you had any thoughts about the internships? Do you have any companies, any names? Have you done any research? So make sure that also you do a bit of research of if you want to study and embark in this program, because it's I mean, it's a really strong commitment in terms of money and in terms of time. So make sure that you really take good time to make your decision. Also, in terms of the experience, is always good. I always see candidates, you know, it's very diverse. You sometimes see candidates with a strong professional experience through internships, but also you see other candidates that they use any experience they have done in the past as a good learning activity. Within that, it could be perhaps solid experience in the corporate world, or perhaps you were doing a voluntary work in Africa. And for us, that is really attractive and important, because we always look at those odd candidates that have a different profile. But what is interesting is not only to mention, okay, I in my school, I did a fundraising, and then I also did voluntary work. For us, beyond that experience, is trying to understand what was your involvement, what did you learn, and how those learnings can help you in this program, to complete this program. So any experience is relevant as long as you get something out of it, and within that, it's just what did you learn. Okay. Then again, it's about your career plan. So sometimes we again, for this program, we have numerous candidates and applicants, and sometimes we feel that sometimes perhaps they are maybe had a bit of a push from their parents, or perhaps they haven't done a quite good research. So we see they want to apply to the MEAN, but then they're applying to other school for marketing. So again, I think it's important that when you come with your case, and what I call your case is a really thinking through why you're going to do this investment. So, and within that is having clear, first of all, doing your research. How did you land it here at the ESCP in your interview? Second, why you want to do the master in management? Where do you think that program will take you? And if you have any idea in terms of sector that will be ideal, and also in terms of perhaps your role within the company. So that for us is a strong career plan. Then also what we, as you know, at ESCP, you have the choice that you can study in different locations. And then we also want to know, what did you perhaps want to come to study in London? Besides of coming and see the London Eye, why you want to go to Paris besides seeing the Eiffel Tower. So we really want to see what's your thinking process. And within that, perhaps, you know, I have candidates that they say, well, because I want to study finance, and I know that coming to London, that is, you know, is a financial center. So think about that when you decided, you know, in terms of your campus choices beyond, again, traveling. Okay. And then my last point here will be other skills. And I think I mentioned this when I was talking about other experiences. Beyond the hard skills, I always think that soft skills are also equally important. And actually, when you go through your career ladder and in the corporate world, soft skills are very important. And someone that have a good awareness about cultures, that about working with people from different backgrounds and nationality is very important, because you will be immersed in that type of environment here at ESCP, and we look for that. So sometimes you could have a great CV, great application, but you don't have the soft skills. It's just about whether you know you fit for the school, and for us that is very important. Okay, that's right. So again, so what are for us the do's and don'ts in summary? So the do's: dress to impress, no matter if it's an online interview or an offline. And that applies even in your future if you're applying for a job. Be technically prepared. It means that your story makes sense. okay, that you have a strong case, and also show yourself during the interview, establish eye contact, and within that, even if you are face-to-face or in online, so you are not looking sideways because you have a screen here, just make sure that you always, again, establish eye contact with the interviewees and address them during the interview. Again, make sure that you are not looking at your cell phone. Seriously, guys, I have been in interviews when I see people with alarms in their phones, or just, I mean, you can clearly see that they have, again, a tech next to them. And the other thing that I want to mention, so the interview, we really want people to be, again, spontaneous. So the other thing I have noticed, especially on online interviews, is that somehow people, they write things down and you can clearly see them reading. So they said, well, because I want to study at ESCP, because it's the main program, it's a great program, and I want to pursue a career. So again, this is your opportunity to be spontaneous and to be yourself. And this is what we want to see. So avoid doing that, okay? And smile. The don't be too casual. And again, being in the virtual world sometimes allow for that, but just imagine that you are on a face-to-face interview. Again, not doing a trial run before the actual interview, it will take you to a dead end. Like I said, technical problems always, happen. So make sure that you are prepared. Again, your camera with good angle, looking eye to eye. And also the background, make sure that it's a clean background, like that people are not passing by behind you. That also will not allow you to concentrate and be present, and also will not allow you to be focused. Okay. And I think that's it from my side. Again, now this is your opportunity to ask any questions you may have. Please use the Q&A, section to communicate with us. And like you say, there is a full team here, happy to help you, and happy to support you throughout the whole interview or application process. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Emily. That was really great to hear from you, and I'm sure people on this webinar must really appreciate hearing directly from the jury. So thank you so much for your in-depth explanation. So I do have a few questions. The first question would be for the admissions team. How many applicants roughly get admitted onto the MIM program per year? So Karina, do you have kind of any rough numbers of roughly how many people get admitted per year?
Okay, well, roughly, I can firstly, just to remind you guys, we are recruiting students from around the globe. So you are competing with students from all over the regions. Normally, I will just give you some examples of previous admission rounds. We receive around, let's say, 300 applications per admission round, and around, I would say, 40 to 50% of candidates are admitted, but this is not a rule. What we want to have is diversity in our program. We want to make sure that those admitted candidates actually have an excellent academic background, that they are clear in terms of their career goals, what they want to achieve in the future, and also how they can benefit from the program. For us, that is really essential. Why do, as Emily said, why do you want to come to London? Why do you want to come to Paris? What you would actually contribute to the school and to our community? What are the projects that you've been involved in? For us, it's to know you more, to know you better, and see how you can actually benefit from our program. So a key aspect, as my colleagues and myself mentioned before, tell us a lot about your international experience. That is really fundamental for us, because from a former student, I will tell you something. Yes, you learn a lot about the program, but you also learn about a lot from your peers. So you're gonna be immersed in a cross-cultural environment, like learning a lot, not just from the subjects, also from all other students. And you can also benefit, of course, from all the activities that we run at our different campuses.
Okay, great, perfect. Thank you so much. So I believe the second question was, does the review committee prioritize some parts of the application? So I guess you've already answered that. And I think going back to earlier, Karina, what you said, you know, international experience, work experience, and your transcript, I would believe they are the three, you know, really important things that the review committee prioritizes on.
Yeah.
So the second question I have is, my school has only given me the first year transcripts. Is it possible to provide the second year transcript at a later date? They have told me there is no longer response time because of COVID. Karina, are you able to answer that question?
For the GMAT,
the transcripts.
For the transcripts.
Yes.
Okay. For the transcripts, I mean, when we are analyzing your evaluation, we need to see how you have performed. Unfortunately, we cannot really assess fully your application if we don't have that information. So if you're having any problems like getting that information, communicate with me directly. As I said, there is a submission deadline. Perhaps we can just like extend your application a little bit further until you get that document, but we do really need to get your transcript in order to do the full assessment.
No, that's great. Thank you so much for that, and completely agree. Please, if you do have any extenuating circumstances, please speak to the recruitment and admissions team. We are here to help, and you know, we can make certain adjustments or do you know, maybe extensions on certain things. So please do speak to us directly. Everything's done on a case-by-case basis. So thank you so much for that, Karina. I have another question. So really helpful information about the SHL. I took the GMAT and I'm not entirely satisfied with my score. Am I able to take the SHL test before the next deadline? Please could you provide the link to sign up to the exam? So in regards to the link, when I send the follow-up email to everyone in this call, I will provide the link to the SHL. But Karina, what would your advice be? And even Emily, actually, if you've taken a GMAT score and you know you're not entirely happy with the score and want to do the SHL test, what would your advice be, or what are your opinions on this?
Do you want to go first, Karina?
Well, yes, I can go first. Okay. We could actually see your individual case based on what actually you scored on the GMAT. So I can, once I have your full application, I can tell you, okay, this is a good option for you. The good thing about the GMAT is that, as you said, okay, well, I'm not really happy with what I have scored. You can actually resit the test. So my first advice would be check if you can actually schedule a second test, like in the next maximum 2 weeks, I would say, because all shortlisted candidates are gonna be informed on the week commencing 17th of May. Okay, just for you to get that date in mind. So although the submission deadline is on the 11th of May, as I said, we can give you like some additional time, some lead time. So if you are able to schedule a second test, then let me know. I can put that on hold, and then I can just add the new score. With the SHL, I would strongly suggest get on the practice link, see how you can actually feel about that. It's a very challenging test. And then, okay, we can see at your new results if you're able to actually book another GMAT test. And then based how you perform, we can take it from there.
I think you answered that question beautifully, Karina. So yes, I will. I know that some people they have decided to go and retake the GMAT because of the score, because that gives them access to also more options. But yes, I will follow exactly what Karina said. So nothing else to add.
No, that's great. And thank you so much. I guess that's the end of the questions. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. We really appreciate your time, and we really hope we get to meet you at some point. And like I mentioned before, and like Emily said as well, as a team, we are all here to help you. So please reach out to us. I will send everyone a follow-up email today. I'll include the practice link where you can contact me and Karina on our MIM admissions inbox. And then I'll send the presentation along too, and that will have all the information you need, but also I'll include a booking link. So if you wanted to book an appointment with me, you're more than welcome to do so. So thank you so much. Thank you, Emily, for your time today. Thank you, Karina. And yeah, we all hope to meet you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.